All right. So finally getting to film. I mean, finally because I have a VPN that's called Nielsen. They basically they not necessarily track what you're looking up. They don't do anything um, too bad on the iPad or the phone, and it just kind of I guess so they know what people are looking up. It's like, oh, who uses this website? Who uses that website? How many people do that? Statistics and all of that. And of course, it's acting up today because I haven't used it on the iPad in 7 days, even though I've done that before. And it's doing that thing where you hit, oh, press this button to reactivate. And it's saying you cannot reactivate unless you do this. And it's completely full circle. I hit send logs, and they're like, okay, you haven't been active, you gotta hit send logs. And I'm hitting send logs, and it's saying, you gotta send logs to send the logs. It's really annoying, and I just gave up. Who cares? They give you nothing. It's $5 at most, and it takes a month, sometimes longer, for you to get on average for you to get $5. Who the fuck cares? I don't. And it's still on the phone too, so it's whatever. I'll just have it on the phone, and it'll take 20 months instead of 2 months. I'll get $1. Cool. And it's not like the other one. Knowledge Panel is the best one because Knowledge Panel does not track anything. They just ask you questions. You take surveys, you get points. That's about it. But for Nielsen, it's just, and with Nielsen, you don't do anything. Again, it's just using your Safari or whatever. And again, I'm not looking up anything too risque on the phone and iPad, anyways. It's a laptop. But so it's whatever. I don't. You're gonna know that I go on Amazon, and you don't track passwords or anything. You better not. So that's fine. But without further ado, here is a different-ish type of video. I'm not going to call it that on the title. Basically, I haven't finished all the books, and also this is kind of like an in-between kind of thing. Kind of to hold me over until the next batch of books come in, which I haven't even put in yet. I'm probably going to put them in next week. I don't know. It's kind of a long time to wait, and I'm already kind of far behind. I don't like being this far behind on the this set of books. Now, what is this set of books? This set of books is the Image Comics Writers set. The set that it's oh, I got something from Mark Guggenheim. So it's the library has from Mark Guggenheim and Erica Schultz and David M. Boer and so on and so forth. I just realized I should have done Kanto, but I don't think Kanto was even in. Damn it, I should have done that one. Because I wanted to reread that one. Oh well, I forgot. But that's basically what this pile is. But I'll be reading them. What makes it a little bit different is I'll be reading them along with what I have left of the miscellaneous pile, which is Tom Taylor, Christopher Cantwell, and other writers who have not done stuff for Image. That's a second pile. This pile right here is the Image Comics Writers pile. As I previously mentioned, I got something from an Image comic writer from Image Comics, and I wanted to see it done from other publishers because each and every one has at least something else from other publishers. So with some rare exceptions. But without further ado, let's get into it. First two up, I just decided to get these two at the same time. This is basically volumes 1 and 2 of this series, and that is Planet of the Apes, Fall of Man, and Beware the Planet of the Apes. Now, these technically don't talk to one another. I think actually this one is taking place in the original 5-movie storylines, and this is the remakes. This is the prequels. This is the main 5-movie way back when. Those 5 movies, the ones with I can't think of it's the original 60s movies, and then the late 60s, the early 70s movies, and then this is the late 2010s to the early 2020s ones. Movies. That's what this is. But this one is written by David F. Walker, is Fall of Man, and Mark Guggenheim does Beware the Planet of the Apes. This one you've seen multiple times because I really do enjoy this Planet of the Apes book, and this one you've only seen once before because I only read it once thus far. But if I had to choose right now before I get into it for a second time and a 14th time for this one respectively, I would say this one more. But that's just my opinion. That may change. No, it's not how you say it. But that could change, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's a phrase that I always use, and I like using that phrase, but I can't think of it right now. So yeah, this pile will seem like it's a lot, but it's basically, if I'm doing the math correctly, and if I gotta finish one more book in preparation, I will have it will be back to 11 with the additional books I have left from the miscellaneous comics pile. And I feel like there was something else that I wanted to mention that I kind of forgot because I was getting like I kind of like was like, okay, anyways, yada yada yada, and then I not necessarily forgot, but I was gonna mention it, and I may momentarily forgot. I don't know, or I was gonna mention it after. That's what it was. But no, it's Image Comics writers. There's this pile, next pile, some miscellaneous ones. I'm mixing them like I used to back in the day. I don't know. Venom. What if Venom? This one Okay, so yes, these three. So the first few are I'm not gonna say how many are rereads because we're already on the rereads. But these ones, usually the rereads fall into 3 criteria. The first criteria is every 6 months. So far, all these are every 6 months. I enjoyed them, so I want to reread them every 6 months on average. Usually, it's more like 1 or 2 months. I would say 3 is the magic number, but 6 months on average. That being because of books like Sin City and Preacher, which are longer stories. They have multiple volumes in their respective series. Thus, it takes me a lot longer to read them and finish them up. Thus, the every 6 month rule. It being every 6 months rather than being 3 months on average. But What If Venom, every 6 month rule. This is written by Jeremy Holt. Again, only going with a writer. This is how I do these videos. If it were a comic haul, I'd show you the artwork, go over the artist and colorist if there was one, and inker there was one, and of course writer, and how many issues the book collects. But these are what I'll be reading the next few weeks' videos, and these ones are treated differently. I've always treated them differently. I don't think I'll ever change that way. Just change my ways and do it just like a comic haul. I also like to maybe a little bit different, so those of you who are more more detail oriented, if I do forget to mention, oh, this is a comic haul, oh, this is every books I'll be reading the next few weeks video, you'll know the difference because of the way they do the videos differently. This is, again, as before, I'm not showing the artwork and etc. Next one up is X-23 Deadly Regenesis. I knew I was forgetting the word there. And this one is written by Erica Schultz. And this is definitely an every 6 month rule book. Honestly, the only one that is the second criteria being read to redeem is the next one, and that is Batgirl Volume 2, Family Business. I said Volume 2, Family Business. I was on comic haul mode. So let's act like this is a comic haul. Let's act like I got this just today. I bought a comic by a comic store. Come on, brain. Let's talk. Let's make you talk like normal. So if I was doing a comic haul, let's say I got this book today, I would be like, okay, this is Batgirl Volume 2, Family Business, written by Cameron Stewart and Brendan Fletcher, with artwork done by Babs Tarr and Bengal. I'm not going to say the original artwork, it's a bunch of names. Collecting issues 41 to 45, sneak peek Batgirl number 1, and Batgirl Annual 1. And then I would show the artwork, and I usually do it like this. That is a comic haul. And I do Batgirl Volume 2, Family Business, author, artist, how many issues it collects, and artwork. In no particular order. That is a comic haul, so I was in comic haul mode. But anyways, this is the Brendan Fletcher run that I have gone on like many rants, usually when I'm showing off Gail Simone's Batgirl, of how much I despise this run because of what preceded it. Gail Simone's run on Batgirl, I think, first of all, is completely overhated. I try my best to see what other people see in it that I don't, and that being like, oh, it reverted her back to being Batgirl, and she was Oracle, and I really liked her as Oracle, but then we go back to her being as Batgirl, and all that progress she made, being fine with being Oracle, and like being comfortable with it for the most part, and finally finding peace after so many years of, you know, depression and all this. We go back to being Batgirl, and everything's great again. Not necessarily, number one, and two, it still is dark. It still is a very dark run. It still has a lot of the elements that people like out of Batgirl. Actually, honestly, I'd say every element that people like out of Batgirl runs. And this one was just a lot more lighthearted and a bit cheesy, like in the sense of like the DC superhero girls. It's kind of how this book felt in tone. Now, I have since reread this, and this is the perfect example of a reread to redeem, because now I'm actually excited to keep on reading this run. to reread it and to refresh my memory. That's the third criteria of why I reread books, because Rebirth comes after this, and I want to finish up that Rebirth run. And I should be able to. It looks like my library, again, Interloans, will have at least the Rebirth run, and then the Marguerite, whoever wrote Sea Serpent's Heir, that writer did a backup run. I can't think of her full name, though. It's not Sauvage, is it? Who's Margaret Sauvage? Why am I thinking of that name? I know it's not that. Anyways, Back Row Volume 2. The Brennan Fletcher run. Next two up is... So the next three sets of books, the next three series are image books. So every month I pick at least two... I pick at least 2 image books from my PC, 2 image series from my PC, otherwise known as personal collection, to read for that month. I've been doing this since January, at the very least. Actually, no, it's been before then, actually. Since last year, every month I picked at least... Well, actually, I think last year it wasn't 2. It started out as 1, I want to say. Then it evolved to it being 2. But definitely since this January, it has been 1 reread, which is what this is, Sleepless. And then the next one would be not a reread, the exact opposite, reading it for the first time ever. So this one, I have read every single issue of both of these volumes, and this is Sleepless, written by Sarah Vaughn, with, I'm gonna go over the artwork. Again, in comic haul mode. So is this volume 2? Am I showing up the wrong one first? Yeah, so volume 1 and volume 2 of Sleepless, written by Sarah Vaughn. I remember really digging this one, so definitely every 6-month rule book. But I like doing... The reason why I do this is... Part of it is to celebrate the fact that I've gotten so many image books. I want to read some of them on my PC, but not to go too crazy and read every single one, because I want to always have a bunch to read no matter what. Like if the library that I go to, they have a little shutdown because of whatever reason, and they're closed for 6 months, and I can't do any sort of picking up books from the library or from Interloans or nothing. I can't do any of that. I have to rely on books from my PC. And that's 6 months. I want to make sure I still have plenty to read, and that is why, you know, I read so slowly for my PC books. And I don't mind doing that either. In fact, I'm excited this summer, because this summer I'm going to get a little bit of a break from the library, maybe a few weeks or whatever, and I'll be reading books, like all of them will be for my PC. Obviously different publishers, but they'll all be for my PC. Anyways, moving on from that little tangent, that little sidetrack there. Sleepless, Sarah Vaughn. Cannot wait to read this one again. I remember really liking it. This next one is a good example of the reread to refresh. But I want to finish it. Reread to refresh / finish. And that is Middle West. Volumes 1, 2, of which I've read all of. And then Volume 3, which I will be reading which I'll be reading for the first time. And finally finishing off this series I've loved so much that I have no excuse for not finishing it sooner. That's how much I loved the series. I think I was just waiting to get everything Scotty Young had done for Image, but because it seems like he's not slowing down on I Hate Fairyland anytime soon, although I don't think there was anything solicited other than Free Comic Book Day issue for more I Hate Fairyland. It's kind of weird. But anyways, Middle West, yeah, so the library had the first 2 volumes, and they didn't have Volume 3, so I had to buy this entire series myself, because I was not just going to buy Volume 3 and read Volumes 1 and 2 of my library. I did not want to do that at all, so I decided to buy the whole entire series myself. And it worked out perfectly because I had a gift card. That was back in the day when I was doing that other survey takers, like with Knowledge Panel, to give me reward points, and I redeem them for gift cards. Except them, they just gave me gift cards, so I didn't have to redeem any sort of points. That was nice. That in Knowledge Panel, if I just replace Nielsen with those other guys, I would do that in a heartbeat. Although it would require more work. You did have to look up stuff. They said, look up this, and I keep it on that page for a few seconds, because you want to see what the search results are for different people. Oh, you're using a Windows computer, you're using Chrome, let's see how it is there. Oh, you're using Microsoft Edge. That's basically what I assumed that it was. And it's basically what they said it was, but I never got the full gist, I don't think. And it's been so long, too. But anyways, Middle West, can't find, and written by Scotty Young, if I didn't mention that already. I did in passing, but I want to mention it, up front. And then the next Image Comics series is, and this one we're now, that was a super stutter. We are now in the reading these for the first time ever. The last 3 series, 5 books are all ones I'm reading for the first time. And that is Nomen Omen, volumes 1, 2, and 3 of the entire Nomen Omen saga, if you will. But Nomen Omen is written by Marco Bibucci. Again, I keep feeling there's more that I wanted to mention, but I can't for the life of me think of what else I've got to mention about these books. Moving on, these last 2 are books that I requested my library to get myself. They allow you to do 1 per month, and I picked these 2 books, and the first one up is probably one of the best books I have put in. I've not read it yet, so I can't say if it's like best because it's gonna be really good, but I'm more saying best because of the fact that I was dying to read ever since I found out it was a series, Butcher's Boy, written by Landry Q. Walker. As an added bonus, I mean, it's pretty much the reason why I put this one in, is because my library has nothing from this writer. They have his work for The Incredibles. Yes, The Incredibles, a Pixar movie. They made some comics of that based off the movie, and then some Game of Thrones. And I started off reading the George R. Martin run, and I got so bored I gave up. So I've not read anything this guy has written. And again, this is Image work. He did Last Siege and another series I can't think of the name off the top of my head. It was the superhero series, Danger Club. That was the book. That was what the book was called. Ironically enough, both of them were 8-issue miniseries. I kind of found that ironic. But yeah, Butcher's Boy. Want to check this one out. I've not heard too much about it, but I remember hearing about it. I remember seeing it advertised. I think it actually said, it was Amazon that said, coming soon from this author you follow, and it's Landry Q. Walker, and it said Butcher's Boy. And I was like, hey, when this series comes out in trade form, I will put it in for materials request. That's usually what it is. It's usually a new book from a writer that I like. There you go, I put it in. Only exception was Joanne Starer. I hadn't read anything she had written beforehand before putting in Fire and Ice. Or a book I liked so much that once Volume 2 comes out, I would put that one in too. Taking a little break from that. Because usually it's like Jim Zub and Landry Q. Walker and David F. Walker and both Walkers, and Mark Guggenheim, those books. Both Planet of the Apes books were materials request books, along with X-23. Ones that I put in myself for my library to get that weren't any, that no other libraries had. And finally, last but not least, this is probably the easiest book for them to put in, for them to approve because of the new movie, and this is Jim Zub's run on Thunderbolts. And as an added bonus, it is the recent printing, the recent printing of the complete series, which is 12-issue miniseries, a maxi series. So all 12 issues in this somewhat thick trade paperback that I cannot wait to read. Because this will be one of the first, if not the first, Thunderbolts series I have read. I want to say I've read Thunderbolts before, but definitely in like scattered form, like one issue of this. Actually, I did. I read one issue of the Greg Pak run. It was someone else, I'm sure, but I want to say the writer was Greg Pak. But his run I read. It was the 2014 series. It was when it was Marvel Now, I think. It was that run. I read one issue of that series. Marvel Now was 2013. Yeah, actually, the issue came out in 2014 because it was issue like 12 or something like that. I don't really exactly remember, but I like that one. But I know very little about Thunderbolts. So excited to finally check out a Thunderbolts book. All right. So as an added bonus, for those of you who stuck around, I'm going to go through these again. Not actually go through them. I might go through them. let's just see right here. I just want to make sure there's nothing I forgot to mention before I end this video. So Planet of the Apes, I mentioned that already. What If Venom, X-23, Batgirl, Sleepless, Middle West. Again, Middle West was a series the library did not have the full entire series of. Oh, that was what it is. So you saw that if you did the math correctly, it was 3, count them, 3 Image Comics series that I picked for this month, rather than it being 2. The reason for why that is because of the fact that I wanted to celebrate this month. As the end of this month, once I get all the books for my birthday, it will officially be 3 full years. Count it 3 full years, so it's ironic I'm picking 3, since I first started getting nothing but Image per month. May of 2022, I realized, hey, so far this month, I have bought nothing but Image Comics. So for this year, for my birthday, I want to get nothing but Image Comics books. Now I did get a gift from the library guy that I talked comics with. That was DC Comics, but other than that, it was nothing but Image. And still, like, what I bought and what I got as birthday gifts were nothing but Image. The book from him was not a birthday gift. It was just just so happened to be in the month of May. So since then, it's been nothing but Image. One books that I buy and I receive as gifts from family members that I ask for. Yeah, nothing but Image, which is a really nice novelty. And that's, again, since May of 2022, it's been the case. Now, I did break the rule technically here and there. Like in September of that same year, 2022, I did get the Boys Omnibuses. But I still got Image Comics series, or Image Comics books. It sounds so weird saying Image Comics books. But I did get comics published by Image, that's what I was trying to say. I did get comics published by Image Comics still that month. But again, I just also got the Boys Omnibuses. So it was the Boys Omnibuses along with the Image Comics books. Along with the books published by Image. The Boys is published by Dynamite Comics, so it's not Image. So that was kind of nice little novelty I felt, and I wanted to add it. I wanted to up it from 2 to 3. Now I am breaking the rule technically by doing technicality, and that's why that was another thing I was thinking, like, well, I can't count Middle West as a series I've never read before because I have. The first 2 volumes on the entire series, sure, but I've read most of Middle West, and I was thinking, well, maybe I can do like. This is 1 month as an exception. It's like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So, hence why I added in Sleepless as a book that I've read all of the entire series, and then Nomen Omen being the one I've not read a single page from. But Middle West, again, first 2 volumes out of 3. But that, as they say, is that. I cannot wait to read these books. None of them I'm dreading reading. Planet of the Apes, I feel like it's been the Data Walker series. I do feel like it hasn't been that long. I feel like it's like, and again, like I keep reading it. So it's kind of become a Preacher by Garth Ennis, where I remember a lot from it to the point where I'm like, is there even a point in rereading it? Now, Preacher is my favorite comic series of all time, so it's almost like I'm contractually obligated to read it every 6 months, or else it will not count as one of my favorite comics of all time. At least once per year, I have to read Preacher, or else it will be disqualified. I feel. And not actually, I'm obviously, like, being a little tongue-in-cheek here, but honestly, not really. Like, if I take a 2-year hiatus from Preacher, and I keep saying, oh, yeah, my favorite comic series of all time, well, you've had time to read a bunch of other comics, too, and you're not, like, what? You know? But that, as they say, is that. 24 minutes, not bad.